Sounds like a motor's running.
Oh, it's that annoying? That's my fan. I can turn it off.
Oh, no, that's okay. You need to stay cool. We've been having some warm weather here, Donna.
It's supposed to cool down, isn't it, Dana? At
Yeah,
least up here it is.
and truly, it doesn't bother me. I've been here too long. I hardly notice it.
Here we go. Let me pin it to the featured.
Okay.
All right. I think we're on. Oh, hey, Demi, you beat us. My computer is, I'm glad you're here. My computer is like 4 minutes behind. It's really weird, and I don't know how to reset the settings on that. So I'm glad you're here. Hello, Demi. Welcome to our newest live. We're excited to have Donna E Lane here and talk about our book. We have a book.
Yes.
So,
This is going to be different for a lot of people because I get to interview both these lovely ladies because Naomi and Donna are both co-authors of this new book, and then they were persuaded.
yeah, so it's pretty, we're going to shake things up a little bit today, but we'll still be here. We can still help. I can still ask questions too. So, a little housekeeping if you're tuning in now or watching on the replay. Make sure you're commenting because these comments will go into the draw for one of two copies. It's open international too, so we can do an ebook internationally or paperback or ebook, your choice for the US as well. So make sure you're commenting. They will be open through the weekend, and that way we can get lots of traction on this. Were you going to say something? I'm sorry. I thought I.
I'm just saying, yay.
Yay.
International. That's kind of
Internet.
rare, but we just discovered we could do that this time. So,
Well, I mean, most of the time lately we've been having from from the big publishers, we've been having Heather Kaufman and Jelani Smith, and those are from Baker House, so they've got limits on that. So being indie, we can offer international. So yeah, shaking it up. Good, Demi. That's awesome. I'm glad that you're here because
Naomi, do you have the book that you can hold it up and show them the cover? I have it in my bedroom by my easy chair. Oh, yay. Okay. Both of you have it. It's a great cover.
it's a really chunky book too. So
It is.
if you like chunky books, it's
Yeah. You get your money's worth with that book.
hello, Anna. So glad you could make
Oh,
it. We're so glad that you're here. Glad to,
welcome.
yeah, we're glad to do that. This is a fun service that we offer for our authors here on Biblical Fiction Aficionados. And we always love to talk about the Bible and biblical fiction and get to know each other. So I'm glad you're here. If you're tuning in, make sure you're putting where you're coming from too, so we know if you're international, and we can look for sharing the love worldwide. So we're glad to be here. What are you working on now, Dana? Do you have updates?
I am working on my fourth book. My third one came out in May of last year, and I'm working on book number four. It is not in the same series. I may revisit that series later, but this one is a New Testament story. It started focusing on the prophetess Anna in the first century temple, which I've always thought she's a fascinating character. So I love telling her story. But she was having visions of a young boy that she had to save his life. And that young boy has kind of stolen some of the show. I notice I've done that with young boys in my stories, 10 to 14 years old. It seems like I always get one in there, maybe because I'm a grandma of two grandsons. So, but I'm
I
having a
love
lot of fun with this story. Yeah. And I'm about halfway through. And now I'm doing the halfway edit. I don't know if you guys do that where you just go right back through and read everything and and do some light editing, and I'm going to give that to my critique partners probably in a couple days. And the other piece of kind of exciting news, I mentioned that my third book came out last May, but it did not come out with an audio book at the time because my previous auto reader could not continue, and we hadn't found somebody else. But we did find somebody else, and he
Yay!
got started, and I just loved the first segment that he read. So I'm really excited because he's really good at different voices. He's got a little bit of a different voice, and it's just seems to be perfect for this story. So I'm real excited.
That's great.
That's great.
Yeah.
That's very fun. How does your audio work? Are you doing that same arrangement as you had before with the?
Yeah. It's called a share or a split or something like that. That's how it works.
Gotcha.
And it'll go into it's going through ACX, so that'll be like audible.com, and I don't know if there's other distributions too, but it'll be widely available. So
Nice.
yeah.
Nice.
What
Very nice.
about you? What are you working on besides this book you just finished?
I was telling Donna I've got a lot of life happening this season, so I'm still repolishing my first series to get those posted back up again and available. But it's slow going, so not a whole lot to update. I have a sensitivity reader looking through Shira's legacy right now, and I'm putting that one up first because chronologically she happens at the beginning. So a little shaking it up.
Sensitivity reader. That's interesting.
Yeah, I just had a couple. Someone had a concern, came to me, a friend of mine, and was like, something about this relationship is not sitting well. So then I remembered that, thankfully, when I came back, and I wanted to get her perspective on if there's anything we can change so it doesn't look weird, like a bad relationship. So yeah, so that's it. And yeah. So just moving along, but again, a lot of life stuff happening for me. So it's slow going.
That pops up every once in a while, doesn't it? Life.
Yeah, it's hopefully just a season, but
yeah,
it's pretty crazy sometimes. So.
Well, Donna, I'm going to ask you at the end what else you're working on, so we won't maybe talk about that now. But shall I just go ahead and dive into the interview, or did you have anything else, Naomi?
No, I'm good. Let's do this.
All right. So I just want to say one thing. Donna's name is Donna E Lane. It's not Donna E Lane. So it's a middle initial.
I never got that. You have a lot of people saying that?
You just kind of slurred it a little bit there. It's your accent, I think.
Oh, how funny.
Okay. Donna E. Lane and Naomi Craig, BFA interview today. All right. Well, we've done the welcome. We've done the housekeeping. Everybody knows how to do their computer and to make the comments in the chat. Let me read the bios. Naomi Craig, she is an author of biblical fiction. Of course, you know that. An avid reader and a pastor's wife. Naomi Craig loves reading the Bible and imagining how things were back then. When she's not serving in various areas at church or trying to ignore her housework, you'll most likely find her enjoying a good book, a cup of coffee, and snuggling with her rescue dogs. Naomi co-hosts Biblical Fiction Aficionados on Facebook and the Biblical Fiction Finder on her website. That's a pretty neat tool. If you ever want to find out what biblical fiction was written about a certain character, a certain time period, a certain book of the Bible, it's a neat little database, and you can look things up real easily. Sign up for Naomi's newsletter, and you can get a free novella of one of your favorite stories on Desolate Heights. Balaam's story, but she doesn't mention the donkey. And I know all of you love that story because of the donkey. So I'm mentioning that the donkey appears in that story.
Yeah, the donkey's the true hero, for sure.
All right, Donna, I'm going to be a little more respectful with you because Donna is a doctor, Dr. Donna E. Lane. She's an award-winning multi-genre author with a passion for exploring all aspects of the human experience. As a Christian counselor and spiritual director, Dr. Lane has dedicated herself to guiding individuals on their spiritual journeys, offering solace and wisdom through her integrated approach. Her 46 years of experience in this field have provided her with insights which she seamlessly weaves into her writing, delving into the complexities of relationships and the depths of the human heart. With a boundless imagination, a fervent devotion to Jesus, a love for history, and a fascination with the human psyche, she crafts stories that resonate deeply with readers, offering the opportunity to embark on unforgettable journeys to historical and biblical times. You can sign up for Donna's newsletter and download 2 free books, Time Forgotten, the prequel to the Cleanse series, and Recognizing Jesus, a Bible study of Mark's Gospel. So there we have it. I'm going to read the blurb on this wonderful book.
Do you ever want me to like do anything?
Well, do you want to read it? Because I'm getting hoarse and people might not like that scratchy voice.
Yeah, absolutely.
You read the blurb.
This is And They Were Persuaded. It's book 2 in the Acts of Faith. It's through the book of Acts. Shocker. In the bustling cities and remote corners of the ancient world, 4 extraordinary individuals joined the Apostle Paul to spread the transformative message of Jesus Christ and bring the gospel to life, facing relentless persecution and trials that test their faith and courage. We've got Barnabas, the son of encouragement, who stands unwaveringly by Paul's side, offering comfort and strength in times of adversity. Timothy, a young and eager disciple, learns to navigate the complexities of leadership as he shoulders the weight of Paul's teaching. Epaphroditus is shaken when the Philippian jail is demolished on his watch. His life takes on new meaning as he discovers the God who truly knows and loves him. He pursues the truth with the same vigor he applied in the Roman army. Damaris, a seeker of truth, finds herself drawn to the message of hope and redemption. Her journey from skepticism to faith mirrors the challenges faced by those grappling with the radical message of Jesus. Against the backdrop of a world hostile to their beliefs, the characters confront persecution, political intrigue, and personal trials. The novel explores the bonds forged in the crucible of adversity and the enduring power of faith in the face of seemingly insurmountable odds. Their stories paint a vivid portrait of the challenges faced by the early Christian community, showcasing the resilience of the human spirit and the transformative power of faith. Did you have the whole thing on there? I just read the whole thing.
Yeah,
Sorry.
I did. I had it all there. Okay, we're going to just dive right in. Now, how should we do this? Go back and forth, or both of you answer? Let's just see what happens.
Yeah, let's play it by ear.
Yeah. Please explain what inspired you to write this specific book. What were some challenges during the writing, a tricky character, or a difficult plot point?
I would say that the thing that inspired us to write this book was writing the first book. The first book was a lot of, and there it is. It was so much fun to write with Naomi, and it was an enjoyable time. And we really enjoyed exploring the characters. And then when it was over, Naomi said, "Barnabas' story's not finished." And I said, "Well, okay, let's finish it." So then we had to pick who else is going to be in the rest of Barnabas's story, and that's how we ended up writing this. But I mean, for me, that's what it was. It was that it was such a good experience the first time.
It was a lot of fun. I think a challenge, a plot point was the Philippian jailer. He's basically an insert into Timothy's. So Donna had all of Timothy and completed, and I was like, well, we got to get the Philippian jailer, because he's like, you read most of Timothy, read Epaphroditus, and then read the rest of Timothy is really chronologically how it works. But so I think that was a little tricky to try to mesh that, but we we needed to hear everybody's voice. So I think it worked in the end, but you just have to think of it as like an insert into.
I think that readers would miss the jailer if he wasn't in there, because so that's cool.
And so it was interesting too, because the first book we had, all of them were Jews to begin with, so they had the foundation. They saw Jesus in the resurrected form. They had that experience, and now moving forward as Paul's spreading out the mission, now we're getting, so Barnabas and Timothy, they have a background. They have the historical background of knowing the Word of God, applying it. And then we have Epaphroditus and Damaris, and they are complete foreign to this concept. So it was interesting how it turned like that, where you had to explore coming to faith. Yes, knowing the Jewish background, of course, because that's the foundation of the Christian faith, but then coming in from no perspective, no knowledge at all. So that was an interesting.
Yeah, I mean, coming to belief from the Jewish perspective was very interesting. And I remember one scene you started with kind of a thought on how they were going to approach giving out the gospel. And they said they started it with the one easy step from belief in the Messiah to belief in Jesus as the Messiah. And I thought that was really logical and, kind of revealing to what it would have been like to, proselytize to Jews, basically.
Right.
So, but since you talked a little bit about co-writing the first book, I'm going to skip question 2 for a minute, and I'm going to jump to question 3. And I'm telling you that because I don't want you to freak out, okay? Like I did when the first time you interviewed me, Naomi.
And I jumped.
Yeah. Okay. So I have always been really curious about co-writing. I've tried a couple times to get somebody to co-write with me, and they said no. So at any rate, could each of you explain your approach to co-writing and the challenges and blessings one might expect if they decide to write with another?
I mean,
the blessing is if you find somebody to write with that you are relate well to, that you work similarly, that you understand, communicate well, understand each other, then it's fabulous, because you've got somebody all the time to bounce things off of, and somebody that's reading stuff and you're reading their stuff, because you have to weave it together. And make it make sense. Otherwise, I'm going on some strange tangent, which happened in the first book, and Naomi saying, "Wait a minute, that's not what happens in my part."
No, I think it was a location, so it's like somebody has to give.
Yeah. So I had to rewrite it. But I would think that if you were with somebody who was like controlling or difficult personality or something, I wouldn't want to do that. So for me, the blessing was doing it with Naomi.
Yeah.
And Donna's like super brilliant, and she's so fast when she writes. So she already has her whole planned out, and so I'm just like do. So just having her help me stay the target, and of course she knows humans really well. So I really feel like these stories are like really really can mean a lot to people, because we've got Donna's experience, and then also, gonna say it, like, I brought the platform, so I really feel like it was a good mix, because
Yeah.
if Donna was starting out with her own on biblical fiction, then, it might not have gone as well. But I really feel that God brought us together for this, and so thankful for
Well,
opportunity.
logistically too, I'm curious. So do like one of you write a chapter and then the next of you write the other chapter, or do you write a chapter and have the other person read it and then the other person starts the next chapter? How does it go?
No, it's not that organized.
No, I think we had a basic timeline, like, here's Barnabas, next up is Timothy, next up. So we both kind of tackled our own story and then handed it. And then I think that might have been where we came into, oh, wait, what are you doing with this location? Because we kind of.
Or where's Epaphroditus? He's not in here.
What is this?
What happened?
At least you're not doing it on purpose. Have you ever read anything where Tosca Lee and Ted Decker did a series together? And I remember reading Tosca Lee doing a little blurb art, like a blog article about it. She says, "Oh, I wrote this chapter and I'm so excited. And I can't wait to give it to Decker," she called him, "because it's gonna blow his mind." like she says, "Because I went off the reservation, just off the plot." And I'm like,
that's
oh,
funny.
wow.
We have friends who co-wrote, and so they would one would write the male perspective. This is contemporary romance, and so one would write the male perspective, one chapter, and then they'd hand it off to the next. So I don't know if they even had a plot, but they just kind of like bounced it back and forth.
Yeah.
And it worked really well for that.
Well, I think maybe you're right, and that's what they were doing. Like, she was doing the female POV, he was doing the male, and then she had the female just doing something totally unplanned for, and then he had to deal with it.
He had to deal with it. I love
it.
He
was like very gleeful that he was going to be really caught off guard. Okay, so I've had a lot of fun with that. Let's come back. All right. With you, Naomi, as a pastor's wife, and you, Donna, as a Christian counselor, you each have unique access to a wide swath of human experience. How has that impacted each of your writing?
I know for me, it's pulling off, like, I feel things very deeply. So I was pulling off a lot of my experiences, or, maybe not the exact this happened, but the concept of it. So I pull up a lot of my experiences. But yeah, like, everybody, I guess my biggest experience is that everybody is in need of this Savior who is so amazing and magnificent and came for us. Like, I feel like that really played out with like the urgency that these characters had to witness and tell about Jesus and all that.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Demi says she thinks that I never know how to say that. The Taney's husband and wife team wrote like that. Bodie and Brock. Yeah, that's fun.
Yeah.
Well, I've had a lot of experience dealing with people with lots of problems. Mm-hmm. And so looking at what are the processes that happen in an individual when they go through a trauma? What are the processes with an individual when they believe that they are not good enough, or they're worthless, or they don't measure up, and understanding all of that inner thought stuff that goes on in those experiences, and then translating that into the characters in the book, even though those experiences are not outlined in the Bible. We know that Timothy, for example, had insecurity, that he was too young and people thought he wasn't prepared or wasn't ready. Well, what would that do to him thought-wise? How would he behave then? What kinds of choices would he make if he believed that lie, that he was not prepared? And being able to take what I know from my clients of almost 50 years and put that into this character, and hoping And y'all have to tell me if it's true, but I'm hoping that makes it seem real.
Mm-hmm.
I do think it feels very authentic. I kind of want to draw out from you something that I'm sure I understand correctly. It is very authentic, and it could be that somebody could read this and they could go, "Oh, she got my story that I told her," or, "Her husband must have been talking to her," that kind of thing. And there's no need for you to use anybody's story, because what you're really using is the impact and the
Mm-hmm.
emotional experience
It's the
that,
processes. It's the
yeah,
processes that go on in everybody.
in
There,
everybody.
there are
That's what,
common lies that we all believe,
Right.
and I'm not good enough is a common lie that we all believe at
right.
certain times. And so I just pull on all the wealth of that experience of
Mhm.
knowing what people do when they believe that. But it's so common that there's no way to identify a person or a story in there.
But even though you aren't talking about anybody's specific experience, the wonderful thing is that in the book, how these people deal with that experience is the same way that each of us can deal with it if
Mm-hmm.
we're having that kind of an issue. So,
Right.
anyway, um, your characters are bold witnesses, but they are not always as brave as they wish they were. This was an encouragement to me because I'm not always as brave as I wish. What characters most resonated with each of you in And They Were Persuaded?
Well,
Um,
Damaris was the character that most resonated with me because of her history of trauma and as a child, the background that she came from, all the loss and all the abuse that she went through. I could relate, and those those kinds of experiences then produce in her kind of a hardened heart and an aloofness and a disdain for humanity that when I was young, before I knew Christ, was part of my experience as well. So I really related to that aspect of her character, and then the difference that it made when she came to know Jesus and the transformation in her, the softening of her heart, and the openness and warmth that she could then feel toward people was reflective of my own experience.
I like that. Speaking of characters, you have a lot of them. There are also some surprises among the biblical characters that we think we know real well. Barnabas, for one, Rhoda, Mark, Timothy, and Manaen, if I'm saying that right, a staunch believer who was brought up with Herod Antipas. That always kind of threw me for a loop. Even Paul had a surprise or two for me. We'd love to hear what each of you think um, the character's main strengths and weaknesses are. Paul, for example, what was his main strength and what was his main weakness, would you say?
I don't know if I would get along with Paul in real life. He seems real abrasive to me. And that's for my conflict avoidance. Uh, I think we would not have a good time together. But that might be my filter as I'm going through on that. But his passion for sharing the gospel, that's inspiring. I think
Yeah,
that.
he kind of barges in, doesn't he?
Yeah. Well, I look at in the course of this book, he's got two primary traveling partners, like already, and we know in the book of Acts he goes from Barnabas to Silas to Timothy. Like he has all these guys, like that. I feel. Yes, as they split,
Yeah.
we can reach more people for sure, but it seems like
Just like anything else, God can use you
Mhm.
no matter what,
Mhm.
and
Mhm.
He uses you for His purposes. So, what
Right.
about you, Donna? Do you have somebody that you want to talk about? It doesn't have to be Paul.
Epaphroditus comes to mind, even though I didn't write him. I thought his greatest strength once he came to know Jesus was a genuine humility, a recognition of his need. And that was something I didn't think the other characters really had. Um, some of them, even after they were converted, they would fall back into different aspects of prideful thinking. But Epaphroditus seemed to be genuinely humbled by the experience and genuinely aware of his need. And I liked that about that character.
Mhm.
And just as a side note, Epaphroditus might be a name you recognize from Philippians, because he is mentioned as a church leader, but in our world, he is the Philippian jailer, just as a
Gotcha. Okay.
so. Have
Um,
you? So there's a movie. It's called The Resurrection of Gavin Stone, and I think it's highlighting like it's a former child actor, and now he's in a bunch of trouble, and so he has to do community service at the church, and ends up playing Jesus in their Passion in their Easter production, and but it's highlighting how much we've talked in Christianese.
Mm-hmm.
And so he's like, completely clueless, but it was just really just bringing that, like, you can't have your church level up here with a new person. And so I think even Epaphroditus has to grow in that. Like, he like, what we would see in church would be like, ugh, that's really shameful. Like, but he doesn't know better, And so then he has to learn that. But so that was an interesting point too. Like, you don't know what level this other person is. How many times? That is a good question. I bet you could find some that are switched around even. But if you look at it, Demi, it's got Aphrodite in it. So that was always my lead. My
yeah,
lead.
when we first named the Biblical Fiction Aficionados, I was always trying to remember how to spell it.
Yeah, sorry about that. You know what? But since it's first person, Demi, it was also easier because he didn't he didn't say his name very much. So it was a couple of times, but it was a little easier. But yeah, it has Aphrodite in it, so he's named for Aphrodite, and so to come away from that legacy and to go into following Christ,
Mm-hmm.
that's pretty good. So
Well, this book was set in a time in history when the churches in different cities were having a lot of persecution and sometimes a lack of food and resources. And churches in other regions were generously contributing to others in need. And so at one point, Barnabas considers a decision. He wants the Lord's will, but he thinks it might be going against a previous decision he'd come to. And he kind of is mulling everything over, and he thinks obeying Jesus is not only what I can contribute, I now see it's also whether I'm willing to step forward in faith. And so at that point, he's not really sure how he should be acting on a certain matter. And I won't tell you because it would be a spoiler. But he's like going, I think I'm going to step forward in faith and see what the Lord does with my action. And yet he was still second guessing himself, and he's saying, still, can I do that even when it goes against what I previously thought was right? What did you want readers to take away from that, gals? I think maybe you were using that as a lesson.
I mean, have you ever made this rash vow and then you're like, oh, now I'm committed to this forever because I don't break my word? Like,
Yeah.
um, it was just looking at, like, sometimes we make that with the intention of being honoring to God, and then is not really what God had in mind. He didn't, I mean, yes, he wants our whole obedience, but he doesn't necessarily want us all to walk around in silence in a monastery all the time. You know, he wants us to, it's, people get messy. So if I'm vowing to remain holy for the Lord and yet don't see any people, then that's great for me, but it doesn't help, you know, with the good works that God has created for me to do. And it's also, to that kind of leans back to, in my imagination, it's not, I saw enough ties that I could make it work, but in my imagination, he is the rich young ruler that Jesus talked to, and who couldn't follow Jesus because he loved his wealth so much. And then if you look later in Acts, Barnabas sells his land on Cyprus, and gives it to the church. So it's just, to me, that's enough connection that it could be the same person. Of course, we'll know when we get to heaven. But in my imagination, he went to Jesus as a wealthy young man and said, I want to follow you. How do I do this? You know, and Jesus, of course, knows his heart and says, give away all you have. And it's like, oh, well, okay. But in Mark's account, who is also Barnabas's cousin, it says he watched him go and he loved this young man. And so it just feels like there could be a second part to this, maybe, you know, like, yeah, he did make the initial, okay, can't do that, God. And then mold it over. And then, so then now, with that in mind as the background, he's like, okay, nothing ever will take place of my loyalty to God, you know. And so he's trying to do right, but it's kind of like the Pharisees, like how far away from the boundary can I go? Like, I don't want to even come close to disrespecting the Lord again because I didn't listen that one time. So he's
really
putting
like
the boundary way low.
Yeah, that was a real good backstory for him. And I totally agree that it's very logical. And everything you point out is certainly true. It very well could have been him. So that was a lot of fun. Another interesting character, and like I said, you have a lot of interesting characters, is Danae. And give a clue, Danae. So, in whom I take a personal interest. How fun it was that I had a namesake character in And They Were Persuaded. Did you have other namesake characters in there other than Danae?
Pranari, who is the little love interest for Timothy, is a namesake character for Naomi's mom, Holly. And Pranari is a holly bush that grew over there. So that's where I took the name from.
That's really cool.
Yeah,
I was
trying to weave all of the things. I don't know her mom, but she answered this whole list of questions for me so that I could weave a lot of her character traits into
as you did for
questions too, but I do not recognize any of my character traits in there, but maybe that's typical. I don't know. What did your mom think of her character?
I'm not sure if she's gotten that far yet. I'll have to check in on her.
Well, I did get that far, but it's funny. At first, I asked her, I said, well, I haven't come across my character yet. She goes, keep reading.
Well, I mean, I remember you said, we asked about your testimony, and I remember you said that you had gone to church, like it was what you did. And so I remember that aspect. Oh, I've gone to synagogue. I know that, you know, before.
I know all that. Yeah.
I know all that.
Certainly true. Yes. Okay.
So that one's one, I hope was somewhat right.
That's right on. Yep. Okay. Other than what we've already talked about, is there an interesting piece of research you'd like to talk about?
I enjoyed researching the theology that Alexander and his little cronies believed, and what they were trying to teach that Paul had to oppose so strongly. because it was complicated, and having to read, to try to find historical resources that could give me the information about all the things. I wanted to cover kind of the overall message that Alexander was speaking that Paul so opposed.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm hoping that I covered all of it, or at least most of it.
I believe you got it spot on, Donna, because I did a Bible study last year that went through the book of Romans from the Jewish perspective, and it went way into the Gnostics and Alexander and this whole thing. And it's almost as if you took that course, because everything, including the demigod, I think it was called, not the demigod, but whatever, the anti-God.
Right. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
that's icky. So
yeah, I enjoyed the research because it just highlights for me how quickly we can go astray if we are not connected to the Holy Spirit. If we don't listen to the Holy Spirit, we are them, and we go off into
if we take and try to make weird things out of the plain scripture too. That's the other part.
Right.
Yeah. Okay. Did you have something, Naomi?
Oh, it's
research?
Go ahead. We're good.
What themes emerged as the story unfolded?
Definitely boldness and sharing your witness.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, if we acted like we had the Holy, like they acted, with having the Holy Spirit, like I feel like maybe I can't say generically, but maybe I am just complacent, because of course God sent his son to die for me, because that's what he does. He's God, and so I think just a call of action to get out of that complacency and to proclaim God's name. I mean, there's at any cost, like it's worth it. Following God is worth it at any cost. So
yeah, I think faith in the face of adversity, faith in every situation, not being swayed off of what was a theme that I highlighted. At least for me, that was highlighted for me.
Mm-hmm. I think when they shared the gospel, it seemed like they did it with a great deal of joy. They were really excited to be able to tell everyone the good news. And, they felt like they were, spreading something that was going to keep going. And they were just very enthusiastic.
Yeah, it'll change your life. Yeah, absolutely. They knew that.
Mm-hmm.
And they shared with that passion.
Mm-hmm.
What were your favorite verses that were used as chapter headings or epigraphs? Was there any that really stuck with you and resonated?
Off the top of my head, I love our dedication. We have our dedication is for our brothers and sisters who are persecuted and those who have given their lives for the sake of the gospel of Jesus Christ. And the verse is 1 Corinthians 15:58. Be steadfast, immovable, always abounding in the work of the Lord, knowing that in the Lord your labor is not in vain. Like I feel like that's
very moving. Yes.
Yeah. And to have, there's so many believers, brothers and sisters who have gone before. 100% following Christ is worth it at all cost. And I hope that I can be like that in my everyday life too. So
I really liked for which of you intending to build a tower does not sit down first and count the cost, whether he has enough to finish it, lest after he has laid the foundation and is not able to finish, all who see it begin to mock him, saying, the man began to build and was not able to finish. That's Luke 14:28-30. I love that verse anyway, but that verse to me encapsulated a lot of the story. These people finished. They counted the cost. They finished the race, and I think that's powerful.
Was that on a Timothy chapter?
Yeah. No,
Yeah,
I'm sorry, Damaris. It was in
that
the
was
Damaris.
Damaris. Nice. Love the dedication and the verse. Hashtag goals for sure.
Is there a question? This is my favorite question. I did not ask that you'd like to answer. It was a question I didn't ask.
But I keep meaning to look up the actual reference, but there's a part, I believe Corinthians, and Paul is kind of on one of his sarcastic rants. And he's saying, I have never asked you for anything. I've worked my way through, and yet you're, anyway, he's saying, what, should only I not have to work? Or like, he's kind of doing that. But there he says something about, he mentions Barnabas, and he talks about what Peter's okay to get married. Why can't, like, basically Peter's okay to get married. Why can't the rest of us? And so I was hoping to get that in because I do have Barnabas getting married, even though it says none of the rest of us, or some along those lines. But it reads to me like a sarcasm rant. So I wanted to get something in that somebody was giving Barnabas hard time because he did get married, and so then Paul's defending him, like, is it okay for Peter to get married and not for the other believers? Like, so I wanted to get that in, but it didn't get in there. Holy sarcasm, gotta love it. Only Paul.
Holy sarcasm.
So that's something that I wish that had fit in somewhere, but
Okay, how about you, Donna?
Well, that's interesting because all the way through, and a big theme in the Timothy story is he's got this girlfriend that he's loved, forever, and Paul's saying you can't be with her because you're on a mission,
Yeah.
And I'm like thinking the whole time, wait a minute, what's this double standard thing?
What's this double standard, Paul?
Oh, poor Timothy has to leave his girlfriend behind, and Barnabas gets to be married, and what? So I never did answer that question.
To be married.
I just said, it's Paul. What can we say?
What can we say? Well, and there's a part when Barnabas is like, I don't know if I should marry her. And Paul's like, oh, well, it's better not to burn with passion. Like, he's like, oh, okay, whatever. Like, Paul, what do we know about?
Okay, well, I'll ask the question I asked you by email, Donna. And that was, in one chapter, the character is referring to others in the room and saying Uma and Ab Uma, Umma. And I was a little confused because I know Abba, I know Ima, and I was thinking that must be related, but I just wanted to kind of get the right answer. So coming from the cat's mouth, what's the right answer?
Well, this Timothy is from Lystra. And so I looked up what's the language of Lystra, and then I looked up how do you say mother and grandmother in that language. And that's what it is. Mother
Lystra is a city, right? Or is
yes.
It's a region, specific, yeah. And I applaud you for getting, the correct language for just even a city. So you gals are just wonderful. And all the readers can be confident that the research is the best it can be. It's a really great book. I just loved it. And you will too. So, let's just see if we can't give you a little more temptation. Would one or both of you like to read from the book? We could have a duet if there's a scene with two characters. What did you decide?
Well, I don't think they actually ever cross over because we were in complete freestanding novellas. So I don't think we could do a dual scene.
Okay.
You want to read first?
Sure. I'm going to go from, oh wait, is this the one? I marked it in one of them. Oh, this is not the right one. Oh no, I got to find it again. Look, I have a marker. Okay, this is from the Philippian jailers' perspective. They've already arrested Paul and Silas. Paul and Silas are singing in the prison. And so here we are with the Philippian jailer, or in our world, Epaphroditus. The ground is slick with blood as the dying cries of my regiment assault me from all sides. I try to run, but I can't keep my footing. I thrust myself backward and land on the incline of Cappadocia's rocky terrain. I strike as my enemy slices, but someone rips my sword from me. I turn to find a soldier raising his gladius with both hands, and I'm trapped. At the last second, I shield myself with my left arm. Suddenly, the earth shakes beneath us, and a chasm opens, leaving my opponent tumbling, his mouth wide with a noiseless scream as he falls into oblivion. As the mountain gives way beneath me, I grasp at anything to keep me from the same fate, my fingers finding some scant weeds to prevent my own demise, but my left arm is useless. Help! Someone's voice infiltrates the edges of my dream. I sit up from my cot with a jolt, but the quaking, rumbling, and screaming do not cease at the nightmare's end. I grab the cot's edge, my heart pumping as I take in my room, the oil lamp on the desk bouncing and casting eerie shadows on the walls. Metal screeching like Charon's wails penetrates my ears, and the floor pitches beneath my feet. As stones fall from the ceiling, I dive for my desk, but it shifts in the chaos and my temple collides with the corner. I grab my head, the blinding pain dragging me into darkness seconds before I go unconscious. When I come to, the earth has settled and my office is pitch black. Beyond the ringing in my ears, there is nothing. No singing, no praying. I push myself up and grope through the dark to find my desk. Somehow it's further away than when I first fell against it. By some miracle, when I run my fingers along its top, I find the oil lamp in place and intact. I open a drawer for the flint and striker, but find it empty. The contents must have bounced out during the chaos. There's no way I would find them now. I shuffle to the exit, stepping and weaving around cut stones, the side of catapult payloads. Once I finally reach the door, I push it open and dim moonlight filters through the holes in the roof. That's when I see it, a gaping hole behind the cell block door, leaving access for anyone to flee. Heat creeps up my neck and the buzzing in my skull accelerates. Excuse me. When I step closer to peer into the cell block, I find every one of the cell doors has swung open, including the massive bronze door to the inner cell. My stomach plummets to my feet as I realize my prisoners have escaped. In a split second, it's like I'm sliding down the mountain again, grasping tufts of grass to break my fall, but this time the nightmare doesn't end. I whirl around so fast I stumble, my shoulder bumping sideways into a wall. I place my good hand against the broken stones, steadying myself before marching back to my office. My sword still hangs on the peg by the door. I yank it free from a scabbard and return to the place of my shame. My wariness of the afterlife is nothing compared to what torture my superiors will concoct because the prisoners escaped on my watch. I angle the blade between my ribs and draw a deep breath. Save me.
Eeriness.
But I mean, if you've read the Bible, you know what happens. So it's all good. No spoilers.
It's sort of still you still get all like on the edge of your seat still. I think that's the fun of biblical fiction. You can really bring the emotion in. All the feels.
Mm-hmm.
Hey Donna, you're on.
Well, I was going to read a part that I really enjoyed writing, and that was Timothy's first run-in with Alexander. He is just walking through the courtyard, and Alexander's standing on a table preaching, and Timothy hears him, and I'll just read there, starting with Alexander, the last part of what Alexander was preaching that Timothy heard. We must awaken the divinity within ourselves as we come to full knowledge of God as he is revealed. Then when we transcend in unity with God, we will destroy the malevolent creator God and his depraved world once and for all as we all become Christ's. A cheer erupts. But we must be pure. We must be perfect. We must be holy as he was holy. What would Paul do? Alexander's voice thunders across the square, rattling loose stones. Paul would label you a sinner, but I call you divine. Shouts, howls, and some even call, Hail Alexander, the chant rippling through the crowd. Stop! The words leap from my mouth before I have time to think. Alexander finds me on the edge of his gathered flock and sneers, the young pup. With a chuckle, he looks around the group and points at me. See who Paul gathers to his side? A sickly half-breed, a friendless misfit, and this specimen is who Paul calls to preach his so-called good news. It isn't Paul's good news, Alexander, it's Christ's good news. I wander toward where Alexander holds court, my voice ringing in my ears as if I'm hearing someone else speaking. Jesus says we are sinners, yes, and we cannot save ourselves, but he also says we don't have to because his blood shed for us ransomed us from bondage to sin. His resurrection set us free. Not so we then have to figure out how to be perfect and holy or how to magically transport ourselves to heaven, but for him to resurrect us. Alexander's face turns purplish red and his eyes shoot daggers in my direction. That's the good news. It isn't up to us to save ourselves. I step onto the bench to face the crowd. Since Christ paid the price, we are no longer bound, not to anything, including the law. We follow Christ instead of a set of rules or traditions because in our hearts we love him and we want to do as he leads. I raise my arm, my eyes piercing the crowd. And yes, the good news of Christ is we are no longer divided, Jew and Gentile, slave and free, man and woman. We are all children of God. A few unreadable murmurs punctuate my words, and a deathly silence descends on the courtyard when I finish. What am I doing? What just came out of my mouth? Alexander hisses, spittle flying from his mouth. Sit down, half-breed. No one cares what you have to say.
That was great. That is a real visceral scene. So,
well, the Holy Spirit. I love that the Holy Spirit. I mean, again, he's quoting Paul, but the Holy Spirit came on him such that he wasn't even aware of what he was saying, and he didn't know what he was doing. I love that.
Well, and that was the thing that he was so afraid of, is how am I going to be able to talk?
Mm-hmm.
How am I going to be able to confront these people who are much more learned and much stronger than I am, and they're not going to have any respect for me? And then he just comes right in, and he was a big speaker right there. I mean, he did great. Anyway, great. This is a time when I would like to give each of you a moment, talk about anything else you want to talk about your writing, tell the people where they can find you, and maybe a little bit of what's coming up next. So Donna, would you start?
Sure. I just finished the third book in my historical, not biblical, but historical fiction series. The series is called This Hallowed Ground, and the third book is called No Man's Land. It takes place during World War I and follows the family that started in the first book in the Civil War and then moved through the Western expansion, and now they're in World War I. The three brothers go to Gallipoli and then to the Somme and experience that nightmare. And then the book explores the impact that had on each of them and how their lives changed as a result and how it changed their families when they came home. So that's a continuation of the themes of the whole series.
Okay, so this series must be a multi-generational saga, right?
Yes.
Not just one, small family. It's the whole, the
extended generations from this family.
I like
that. So exploring a lot of how generational sin is passed on from family to the next generation, and how the experiences, and there's nobody's probably interested in, but the there is research that shows that the experiences of trauma that you go through in war actually changes your DNA. And so the DNA gets passed on literally to the next generation. The change in the DNA gets passed on to the next generation. So there's that biblical truth science now supports. And so this series looks at the consequences of war on
Yeah.
multi-generations.
Yeah, I mean, I've heard people say it just really wasn't fair what God did with people, by making them, suffer for the sins of their parents. And it's really not that so much. It's just that the sins of the parents affect the coming generation.
Right.
They're reacting to it. And so, yeah, it goes on for sometimes generations. That's really interesting. I bet you need to tell them where they can find you online and maybe on social media.
All right. My website is thedoctorslane.com. My husband and I share a website. I also have a website, donnaelane.com, but it is not as extensive. All of my blog posts and writings on other topics are all on the Doctor's Lane website. That's where you can find me.
All right. How about you, Naomi?
I am on Facebook primarily. We're on Biblical Fiction Aficionados. My website is naomicraig.com, where, like you mentioned earlier, you can get to the Biblical Fiction Finder. You can search by person in the Bible, era, author. There's over 500 titles cataloged there. So it's a really great resource for that. And yeah, naomicraig.com.
Okay. Well, now comes another fun time of our program, and Naomi is always in charge of this, and she's got another fun game for us. And I can tell you that even if you are watching this now for the first time on YouTube, you can still participate in the game, and that would be by making comments as we go along. And your comments would also be entered in the drawing for the 2 books that are being offered.
Yeah, once it's on YouTube, the giveaway will be over, but you can watch the replay on BFA.
Oh, gotcha. Okay. All right.
All right. So this is also a new thing. I think it's just the 3 of us at the moment, ladies. I don't know if... Oh, Anna's heading out. Thanks for heading in, Anna. So good to have you here. Glad you were able to make it.
See you.
Now it really is just the 3 of us, I think.
Okay.
So we're I'm going to share my screen. This is a new experience, so hopefully that goes well. We're going to play describing you. Are you still good, Donna? We're right at an hour. Are you still good for time?
Yeah, I'm good.
Okay. This should only take about 10 minutes maybe. So we'll be all right. I'm going to share my screen. And what this is called the Bad Bible Translator. All right, now let's see. I don't see either of you. Are you seeing this YouTube Bad Bible Translator?
Yes.
Okay. I see it, and I see the three of us.
Oh, good. Okay, good deal. What I'm doing is we've got 10 seconds to answer each one. They will be badly describing the event or person in the Bible. So if you're watching in the replay as well, then make sure that you're commenting on this, or even on YouTube. This I borrowed from Forest Hill Baptist Church. And so, yeah, here we go. You have about 10 seconds to answer it. Ladies, since I think it's just the 3 of us on here at the moment, you can definitely shout out when you know what it is. I will read these out loud. And yeah, we'll see how well we do on this. So here we go. You can guess the Bible story based on see if you can guess the Bible story based on the crazy translation. Example, bodybuilder gets a bad haircut and then in his final appearance brings the house down.
Ooh, ooh, ooh.
I can't see you.
Samson and pulling down the temple of...
Yeah, the story of Samson. Oh, wait. You know what? I think I can... Okay, now I can see everything. Okay, here we go. All right. Marching band crushes the competition with one note. Any ideas?
Come on, Donna. You know that one, right?
No.
Joshua and the Battle of Jericho.
One note threw me.
A hodgepodge group of construction workers failed to reach new heights on building project due to poor communication.
Okay, I know.
What is
Tower of Babel. Or Babel.
It is. Yes. However you want to say that.
Yeah.
All right. They found themselves naked and afraid in paradise.
Adam and Eve.
Yeah.
Isn't that a current TV program? Naked and Afraid, I think it is.
I have not heard of that. What are you watching, Dana?
Not watching it, but I do see it offered.
Gotcha. Big Bully is put in his place by a boy and his rock collection.
David and Goliath.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let me see if I can go a little faster when we already got it. There we are. Crowded house party becomes lit when a guy on a magic carpet ride drops in from above.
Oh, when the friends let their crippled friend through the roof in a house.
Jesus heals the paralyzed man. I love it.
It could have also been the guy listening from above when Paul went on and on and on, and he fell asleep and fell out of the window.
Surprise bun in the oven piques the interest of farmers and royalty near and far.
What?
Mary and Joseph.
Yes.
Oh. Yeah, that's really irreverent too.
Yes.
Sorry. One kid's lunch turns into the craziest potluck for the masses.
Oh, funny.
Feeding of
Five
the
loaves. 5 loaves, 2 fishes, right? 5 and 2.
Yep, feeding the 5,000. A floating zoo took a trip no one thought would happen.
All right.
Noah, did it?
Somebody's got to say it.
Yeah.
A mud facial really helped open his eyes to the world around him.
Oh my goodness, this is zany. Okay, blind man.
The blind man.
Got in the dirt.
Jesus heals the blind man. This was designed for a youth group, so you can
love it. When did they get him?
Regurgitated fish food stubbornly delivers a message.
It's got to be our friend Jonah.
Jonah.
Jonah. Oh, we still got more. Tiebreaker. I guess you guys tied so far. Old man waterbender who likes to talk to plants help people walk with the fishies to safety.
Okay, that one's, I don't think I know that one. What about you, Donna?
I think Moses parts the Red Sea. You'll know it once you hear it.
Oh, gosh. What a weird way to say
Isn't that weird?
Talking to the burning bush. Oh, how funny. I kind of past, the kind of a hippie love child talking to plants,
Yeah. Waterbender.
Waterbender going around with a stick,
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you to Forest Hill Baptist for creating a silly presentation for us.
That was great.
Yeah.
So, all right, well, that's all we have for today. So make sure that you are commenting to be entered into win the draw. Follow Donna on her website, so you'll catch up with all of her new details. And Thank you for being here. Appreciate you joining us here live or on the replay. We really are so thankful for our readers here at BFA. So,
Well, let me just throw in a little plug for BFA, a Biblical Fiction Aficionados. All kinds of readers of biblical fiction and writers of biblical fiction interact all the time, and we have a lot of fun over there. We have a book club. Usually every month, we're looking at some biblical fiction book club and having questions posted and interaction online. And we have these interviews just about every month, don't we, Naomi?
yeah,
With
we
different
do.
authors, and we've had a lot. So you'll be able to see all the past interviews. You can see those in Biblical Fiction Aficionados first, and then they go to YouTube. So,
And actually, and They Were Persuaded is book club for April.
oh,
so
wonderful!
make sure
So
you're
there's-
entering to draw so you can have a free book for the book club.
And you need that much time to read it because that's a big, thick book.
It's a big chunky book. It's so big. It is 510 pages, y'all.
Woo!
Worth the money. That's how you think about it. It's worth the money, right?
Worth it. Yes,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Well, thank y'all for having me on. I really, really appreciate being included as a part of this, and I enjoyed it very much.
Good.
Yeah,
It's really
always.
fun to have you. And Naomi's great to have as a guest for once.
Just not as distinguished as Donna, but you know.
Donna's fun to have, and you're fun too.
Oh, good. All right. We will see you around online. Thanks so much for tuning in.
All right.
Bye.
Bye-bye.